Over the past 5 years, the Mercedes Formula One team has witnessed an intense and tumultuous relationship between Team Principal Toto Wolff and superstar driver Lewis Hamilton. With George Russell joining the team, the landscape of the F1 team has changed. Hamilton and Wolff's constant disagreements and public clashes have made headlines, serving as a dramatic backdrop to the team's on-track success. Mercedes' chaos is becoming more erratic and unpredictable. They have experienced several obstacles this season, and the drivers are quite dissatisfied with the present situation. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell clashed following the second practice session for the Australian Grand Prix. The Silver Arrows were stronger in FP1 than in the afternoon, according to the 7-time winner. Russell, on the other hand, feels it was the other way around, with the squad making a step in performance during FP2. Hamilton, plainly depressed, told Sky Sports F1, "This morning was good, this afternoon wasn't so good. It's as simple as that, yeah? This morning felt a little bit better, made some changes, didn't work, so we'll revise those tonight."
But this morning was good, this afternoon wasn't so good.
As simple as that.
Simple as that, yeah.
Meanwhile, Russell praised his Mercedes mechanics for making important changes between the two sessions. The ex-Williams star added, "It was a reasonable session for us. We definitely made a step from FP1, which is a good thing. We just made a lot of setup changes over the break. We've been doing some good steps recently. We've been changing quite a few things and getting the car in a nice window as the weekend progresses."
But it was a reasonable session for us. Definitely made a step from FP1, which is a good thing. Let's see what tomorrow brings with the weather.
In the first practice, Hamilton set a lap fast enough for P2 in an optimistic indication for the German manufacturer. The British star was only 4/10ths slower than the leader, Max Verstappen. Nevertheless, he struggled in the rainy conditions in the afternoon, with the Mercedes champion only being capable of P14. Meanwhile, Russell was 4th fastest, putting pressure on the leaders. Hamilton went on to say, "We won't be competing against the Red Bulls. It will just be about trying to get up as high as possible. I think we have the pace to be around 5th, the same as the last race." Russell backed up the view and even warned they could drop lower into the midfield. He commented, "Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment. I think if we really pull everything together, then the third row, probably between P5 and P8, is where we're looking at the moment."
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment. I think if we really pull everything together, the third row, probably between P5 and P8, I think is where we're looking at the moment.
It comes amid an increase in tensions between Hamilton and Russell after the 25-year-old bit back at his teammate. Hamilton suggested Russell was only quicker in Saudi Arabia after getting lucky on a car setup. But the youngster rejected the suggestion, as he suggested it was not as simple as a 50-50 coin toss. Toto Wolff departs Melbourne with mixed emotions. On the one side, he is saddened by George Russell's DNF, but he also witnessed a good pace from Russell and Lewis Hamilton. "We had strong pace today, and it was really close with the Aston Martins and the Ferraris. That is good news for us, and I think we've made a step forward this weekend, both on one lap and race pace," Wolff said in a Mercedes press release. He continued, "We maximized what we have, and we need to now comb through the data and continue to learn about the car. This will help bring the upgrade packages, and that will be the key in challenging the leaders more often." George Russell failed to cross the finish line as his Mercedes broke down, but he had taken the lead when he passed Max Verstappen at the start. It was unfortunate with George. He had a great stop from the lead and changed onto the hard tyre, the Mercedes team boss continued. Russell was brought in quickly when the safety car appeared, but he dropped to 6th when it was changed to a red flag. Wolff maintains that calling Russell in right away was a correct move. It was absolutely the right call, and he would have been very much at the front. With a red flag, his race was not so good anymore. He still could have made it to the front though, so he was unfortunate to have a power unit failure.
It's a shame for George also because with the bold stop we did, I think he could have raced at the very front.
Even still, the Mercedes team's two drivers argue on whether the improvement in car performance since Bahrain is genuine or track-specific. Mercedes started the season in Bahrain with the 4th fastest car on the grid. Since then, the German squad has improved in the next 2 races, in Jeddah and in Australia. George Russell almost scored a podium for the team in Jeddah, while in Australia, the Mercedes driver secured a front row start. Drivers were challenged to explain the reason for the spike in form at the post-qualifying news conference because the team had not brought any changes to the vehicle. Both drivers had opposing viewpoints, with Lewis Hamilton claiming that the improvements may be track-specific. I think it's perhaps track specific, but I think ultimately there's no one in the team that's had their heads down in terms of giving up. Everyone's been working incredibly hard to try to squeeze the most out of what we currently have. We are, as George mentioned, a little bit down on downforce, where we really want to be, but everything came together today. He added, "So I mean, it feels amazing to be up here either side of Max, and I really hope that tomorrow we can somehow hold on to him. He might pull away into the distance like he has done in the past, but we'll give it our best shot."
Yeah, I still feel uncomfortable in the car though. The car's still not, I don't feel connected to it. So I'm driving as best I can with that disconnect. Considering we've been down on performance, we're clearly down on end of straight pace compared to the Red Bulls.
Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes teammate George Russell felt otherwise, as he pointed out how the team had focused on maximizing every tiny aspect of the car. He said that it helped the team secure a better result in Australia. "For sure, we maximized the job today, no doubt at that, but we had a good qualifying last week in Jeddah. I didn't put my lap together in the last run in Jeddah and was only a 10th off P3. So no, I don't think it's necessarily track specific. I do think we're making some improvement with the understanding of the car." Russell added, "Yeah, I don't really know, but for sure the tyres play a big factor. When you get those tyres in the sweet spot, you make a big jump, and I think even I improved 4/10 maybe on my last run in Q3. So unfortunately, it's all tyres. With every team's long-run performance uncertain, it will be intriguing to see if Mercedes can compete with Red Bull going forward." Hamilton earned his first podium finish of the season, as well as his 192nd overall by holding off Fernando Alonso at the Albert Park track in an exciting game of cat and mouse between the world champions, in which they balanced attacking versus tyre wear. Bono advised Hamilton not to fall into Alonso's ruse and drive his tyres too hard, telling his race engineer Pete Bonington that, "These guys are quick behind me." But with 10 minutes left, it was game on, with Hamilton telling his squad, "There's no way I'm losing to him." He didn't, with the Briton finishing second in a tumultuous race marked by 3 red lights. Despite the fact that the race was Hamilton's best of the season, with earlier performances including P5 and P4, the 7-time world champion believes he's still not at ease in the W14. "I still feel uncomfortable in the car though," he said. "I don't feel connected to it. I'm driving as best as I can with that disconnect, and I'm working as hard as I can to try and create that connection, but I think it's a long project."
Yeah, I still feel uncomfortable in the car though. The car's still not, I don't feel connected to it. So I'm driving as best I can with that disconnect, and I'm working as hard as I can too.
But still, considering we've been down on performance, we're clearly down on end of straight pace compared to the Red Bulls. For us to be up here fighting with Aston, this is just amazing at this point in the season, and we just got to keep on fighting. A big thank you to all the people at the factory who keep pushing. We can close the gap. It's going to be tough, but not impossible. George Russell, Hamilton's teammate, took the lead early in the race, grabbing the inside line at turn 1 on the first lap and lead for the first time this season. As Hamilton's teammate pitted under a safety car on lap 8, it became the first of the day's 3 red lights, but he lost it to Max Verstappen on lap 12 and Red Bull driver winning the race. Russell's day took a turn for the worse when his Mercedes engine failed, forcing the Englishman to pull over to the side of the circuit with flames shooting from the rear of the grid. That left Hamilton to lead the way for Mercedes with an 18-point haul for the day. "I think it was really unlucky for George today," Hamilton said, "something we got to look into. Our reliability has generally been really good, so that's really unfortunate. But otherwise, to get those points is really amazing today. I definitely didn't expect to be on second, so I'm super grateful for it."
I'm really unlucky for George today. On our side, we've got to look into our reliability has generally been really good, so that's really unfortunate. But otherwise, to get those points is really amazing today. I definitely didn't expect to be on the second.
Between race winner Verstappen, Hamilton and Alonso, there were 11 world titles on the podium. Lewis Hamilton called on Mercedes to investigate George Russell's mechanical failure. Toto Wolff has said that Mercedes' decline in performance at the start of the Formula 1 season has left him frustrated at not being able to compete for the title. Mercedes has been the dominant force in Formula 1 since 2014, and they entered 2022 seeking to win the Constructors' title for the 9th consecutive season. Wolff admits to experiencing agony and having to watch the championship battle from the sidelines after being regularly immersed in the quest for success over the past several seasons. We've had the luxury of being right in the middle of those fun games for the last 8 years, the Mercedes boss said. What are your thoughts on today's video? Do you think Mercedes has a chance in this F1 season? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below.